took my nephew's birthday gift back after his mother, my sister, called it cheap and said I should have given him a car. Now they are in shock because I refuse to contact with ungrateful relatives and pay their bills. My name is Sarah, and I work as a marketing manager at a tech company in Boston. 6 years ago, my life changed when my older sister Lisa's marriage fell apart. Lisa and her husband Mark had a terrible relationship for years. He was selfish, immature, and as soon as they divorced, he practically vanished from their son Tyler's life. Tyler was only 10 when it happened, and overnight, he lost his father, his home, and his sense of security. Mark refused to pay proper child support, claiming financial hardship despite working a decent job. He stopped calling Tyler after a few months, and the rare checks he sent weren't enough to cover even the basics. Lisa and Tyler had no choice but to move in with our parents. Mom and Dad welcomed them, of course. They turned the basement into a bedroom for Tyler and gave Lisa their spare room. Our parents are retired teachers living on fixed incomes, so while they could offer a roof, they couldn't provide much financial help. At that time, I had just landed my first real job after college. I was finally making good money and living in my own rented apartment downtown. It wasn't huge, but it was mine, and I loved my independence. I was saving for my future, excited about building my career and enjoying life as a young professional. Then came that Sunday dinner at my parents' house. I'll never forget it. We were all sitting around the table, Mom, Dad, Lisa, Tyler, and me. Tyler was telling us about his science project, and I remember feeling happy that he seemed to be adjusting. After dessert, while Tyler was in the living room playing video games, my dad cleared his throat. Sarah, we need to talk about something important. Mom nodded, folding her hands on the table. It's about Lisa's situation. I glanced at my sister, who was looking down at her plate. Lisa's having a really tough time, Dad continued. She found a job at that department store, but it doesn't pay much. And with Tyler growing so fast and needing new clothes, school supplies, we were thinking, Mom chimed in, since you're doing so well at your new job, maybe you could help your sister out a bit. I wasn't surprised, really. I've been expecting something like this, and I wasn't against helping. Lisa was my sister, and Tyler was my only nephew. Sure, I said, I can help. How about $700 a month? It was a significant amount for me, but I could manage it if I cut back on some of my own expenses. The relief on Lisa's face was immediate. That would help so much. Her eyes welled with tears. Thank you. And just like that, I became a regular contributor to Lisa and Tyler's life. Every month, I transferred $700 to Lisa's account. It became as routine as paying my rent or utilities. As Tyler got older, he needed more than just basics. He wanted to learn programming and was interested in foreign languages. I thought these were great interests that could help his future, so I paid for those courses too. For his 11th birthday, I gave him a PlayStation 5 that he'd been dreaming about. His face lit up when he opened it, and that made all the extra work I was taking on worth it. The following year, I gave him a new smartphone for his 12th birthday. For Christmas, I usually went all out too. Nice headphones, a tablet, whatever he was into that year. I wanted him to have nice things despite his parents' divorce. Lisa eventually moved out of our parents' house, finding a small 2-bedroom apartment for her and Tyler. I helped with the security deposit and first 3 months of rent to get them settled. I visited them often, bringing groceries or taking them out for dinner. During our family dinners, which happened at least twice a month at our parents' house, Lisa talked a lot about her dating life. She was determined to find someone new, going from one dating app to another, meeting different men every week. What she rarely mentioned was her job situation. I knew from our parents that she was constantly jumping between positions, retail stores, administrative work, waitressing, never staying anywhere long enough to build a career. My parents were covering most of her basic expenses while my money went to extras for her and Tyler. A year after I started helping Lisa, I received a significant promotion at work, almost doubling my salary. I was thrilled and decided to start saving for a down payment on my own apartment instead of continuing to rent. At the next family dinner, Dad asked how work was going. Actually, I have good news, I said, smiling. I got a big promotion. I'm thinking of saving for my own place now. Lisa's head snapped up. A promotion? How much more are you making? I hesitated but answered honestly, it's nearly double what I was making before. Lisa's eyes narrowed slightly. Well, she said, her voice taking on an edge I recognized from childhood arguments. That means you can afford to help me twice as much too, right? $1,400 a month instead of $700? I almost choked on my water. What? Lisa, that's not, it's only fair, she interrupted. If you're making twice as much, why shouldn't Tyler and I benefit too? We're family. I looked at my parents, expecting them to say something, to point out how inappropriate this demand was. Instead, they both nodded. Your sister has a point, Sarah, Mom said quietly. Family helps family. And it's not like you have children of your own to support. I felt cornered. 3 pairs of eyes were staring at me, waiting. Tyler was the only one not present, having gone to a friend's house after eating. Actually, Lisa said, leaning forward, $1,500 would be better. Tyler needs braces soon, and his programming courses are getting more expensive. Under pressure, feeling like I had no choice, I nodded. Fine. $1,500 a month. But as I drove home that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right in this arrangement. It felt less like helping and more like an obligation, or worse, an expectation. The new financial arrangement settled in quickly. Every month, $1,500 left my account and went into Lisa's. I had to cut back on my own expenses and extend my timeline for saving up for a down payment, but I managed. I told myself it was temporary. Eventually, Lisa would find a stable job and get back on her feet. When Tyler's 13th birthday came around, I showed up at my parents' house with a mid-range electric scooter. Something told me I needed to set a boundary. Tyler seemed pleased enough when he opened it, but Lisa sat in the corner with a sour expression all evening. I probably didn't live up to her expectations. The next 2 years passed in a similar pattern. I kept sending money, though I started to notice that Lisa's social media showed frequent restaurant outings, new clothes, and weekend trips that seemed beyond what her part-time retail job could support. Meanwhile, I was putting in extra hours at work, taking on additional projects, and slowly building up my savings for a place of my own. Finally, at 31, I managed to buy my first apartment. It wasn't grand, a one-bedroom unit in a decent but not fancy neighborhood, but it was mine. The down payment had taken every penny I'd saved, and the mortgage payments were steep, but I felt proud. I decided to host a housewarming party. I invited family, friends from work, and a few neighbors. When Lisa and Tyler arrived, her eyes darted around, taking in every detail of my new place. Tyler, now 14, muttered a congratulations and immediately asked for my Wi-Fi password. Later, as I was refilling the snack bowls in the kitchen, I overheard Lisa whispering to one of our cousins, "Tyler and I deserve a place like this more than she does. We're the ones cramped in that tiny rental." My hand froze mid-reach for the chips. The unfairness of her statement stung, but I decided not to confront her. This was my special day, and I wasn't going to let her ruin it. Over the next year, I noticed a new pattern emerging. Tyler, now 15, began dropping hints about cars whenever I saw him. It started subtly. Mentions of friends whose parents were already planning their 16th birthday presents. Casual comments about which models he thought were cool. At first, I didn't think much of it. Most teenagers get excited about driving. But then I noticed Lisa posting photos of Tyler on her social media, standing next to shiny new cars at dealerships, captions like "someone's getting excited about his birthday next year." One photo showed Tyler behind the wheel of a new Audi, with the caption, "trying out his dream car. Now we just need a generous fairy godmother to make it happen." I laughed when I saw it. The manipulation was so obvious it was almost comical. A new car? The latest smartphones and laptops I'd given him over the years had already stretched my budget. But a car, especially the luxury models they were posing with, was on an entirely different level. 2 weeks before Tyler's 16th birthday, Lisa called to confirm I was coming to the party at our parents' house. "Of course," I said. "I wouldn't miss it." "Great," she said, her voice oddly cheerful. "You're bringing your gift, right? Something special?" "I've got it covered," I replied neutrally. "Tyler's so excited," she continued. "He keeps talking about what his cool aunt might get him." I refused to take the bait. I went online and ordered the latest iPhone model for Tyler, an expensive gift by any normal standard. I thought it would be practical, something he'd use every day. I had it gift wrapped and tucked a nice card inside, genuinely hoping he'd appreciate it. On the day of Tyler's party, I arrived at my parents' house to find it filled with relatives, some of Lisa's friends, and several of Tyler's classmates. The atmosphere was festive, with balloons and streamers everywhere. When it was time for presents, everyone gathered in the living room. Tyler opened gifts from his friends first: video games, headphones, gift cards. My parents gave him an expensive watch. Then Lisa handed him an envelope. "From me, sweetie," she said. Tyler opened it and pulled out a card. Inside was a voucher for driving lessons. "Thanks, Mom," he said, giving her a hug. Then he looked around expectantly. "Is that everything?" Lisa's eyes fixed on me. Sarah still has her gift. All eyes turned to me as I handed Tyler the neatly wrapped box. He took it, and I noticed a flicker of disappointment cross his face even before he opened it. He tore off the paper, opened the box, and stared at the new iPhone. Then, without warning, he tossed the box onto the coffee table with a clatter. "Seriously? This is it?" The room went silent. I felt my cheeks burn with embarrassment. "Tyler," I began, I thought. "You could have given me something way better with your salary," he interrupted, his voice loud and angry. "Everyone knows you make tons of money." I stared at him, stunned by the entitlement in his voice, the echo of his mother's attitudes. Lisa stepped forward. "She's too stupid," she said with contempt. "We've been hinting for months that you need a car, and she brings this cheap, pathetic thing instead." Something inside me snapped. All the years of being treated like an ATM, all the increasing demands, the lack of gratitude, it all came to a boiling point. I slammed my hand down on the table, making everyone jump. "Enough," I shouted. "I am sick and tired of supporting you and your son, Lisa. I've given thousands of dollars over the years, paid for classes, birthdays, everything. And this is the thanks I get?" Entitled demands for a car, I grabbed the iPhone box from the table. "If you don't like my gift, fine, I'll take it back. But I am not buying a car." The room was dead silent. Tyler looked shocked. Lisa's face had turned red with anger. Our relative shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. No one spoke as I collected my purse and jacket. I drove home in tears, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I couldn't believe what had just happened. 6 years of financial support, and this was how they treated me? Like I was nothing but a wallet with legs? My phone started ringing as soon as I got home. "Lisa?" I rejected the call. Then my mother, rejected. My father, rejected. They called one after another, like they were taking turns. I turned my phone to silent, and poured myself a glass of wine, trying to calm down. Around 9 p.m., I checked my phone. 12 missed calls and a flood of text messages. I reluctantly opened them. "Mom, Sarah, you embarrassed us in front of everyone. Call me back immediately. Lisa, how dare you walk out like that? Tyler is devastated. Dad, we raised you better than this. Your behavior was shameful. Lisa again. You're selfish and greedy. Always were. You owe Tyler an apology and a proper gift." The messages continued, each one more accusatory than the last. Not one of them acknowledged that maybe, just maybe, Tyler's reaction to an $1,100 phone was inappropriate. Not one considered that I had any right to decide how to spend my own money. I didn't respond. I needed time to think, to process what had happened. I took Monday off work and spent the day in my apartment, ignoring the continuing calls and messages. By Tuesday, the tone of the texts had shifted from angry to manipulative. Mom, we're your family. Sarah, family sticks together no matter what. Lisa, Tyler's really upset. He cried himself to sleep. He thinks you hate him. The guilt tripping might have worked before, but something had changed in me. I was seeing the pattern clearly for the first time, how they had progressively demanded more and more, how my generosity had been reframed as an obligation. Wednesday evening, Lisa called again. This time I answered. Finally, she snapped. I've been trying to reach you for days. I know, I said calmly. I needed time to think. Well, while you've been thinking, I've been dealing with a heartbroken teenager. You need to make this right, Sarah. Make what right, exactly? That I didn't buy your son a car? She sighed dramatically. Look, we can move past this. Tyler will accept your apology if you make it up to him with the right gift. No, Lisa, I said firmly. I'm done. I'm not buying Tyler a car. And starting now, I'm not sending you money anymore. There was a moment of stunned silence before she exploded. You can't do that. We depend on that money. You have no right to cut us off. It's my money, Lisa. I have every right. You selfish thing, she screamed. After everything we've been through. Goodbye, Lisa, I said and hung up. Then, I blocked her number, along with my parents. I also blocked them all on social media. I needed a clean break, time to reestablish boundaries without their constant pressure and guilt. True to my word, I canceled the automatic monthly transfer to Lisa's account. The money that would have gone to her stayed in my bank account, and it felt strangely liberating. The next day, I had just returned home from work when I heard loud knocking on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw Lisa and my mother standing there, both with angry expressions. Sarah, open this door right now, my mother demanded. We know you're in there, your car is outside, Lisa added, pounding harder. I stood quietly, not responding. You can't just cut us off, Lisa shouted through the door. Tyler needs that money for his programming classes. Sarah, this is childish, my mother called. Open the door so we can talk about this reasonably. I finally spoke through the door. I'm not opening it. I have nothing to say to either of you. You have no right to stop supporting your sister, my mother said. Family helps family. I'm done being treated like an ATM, I replied. I've helped for 6 years. It's enough. Lisa kicked the door hard. You owe us that money. I don't owe you anything, I said, my voice steady. And if you don't leave now, I'm calling the police. You wouldn't dare, Lisa hissed. I took out my phone. Try me. There was muttered conversation between them and finally I heard them walking away. My mother's final words drifted back. You'll regret this, Sarah. Family is all you have in the end. In the following days, I learned from a cousin that Lisa and my parents were telling relatives that I had suddenly abandoned them financially for no reason. They claimed I had promised to support Tyler through college, but had broken my word out of selfishness. Fortunately, most of our extended family knew better. They'd seen firsthand how much I'd given over the years. My Aunt Emma even called to check on me. I was at Tyler's party, Sarah, she said. What happened wasn't right. You've done more than enough for them. Her support meant a lot, but the situation with my immediate family remained painful. I threw myself into work, started therapy, and focused on rebuilding my social life outside of family obligations. For the first time in years, I had money to spend on myself without guilt. I took a short vacation, joined a book club, started dating again. 3 months passed without contact. Then 6. I learned through the family grapevine that Lisa had been forced to move to a smaller apartment and get a full-time job. Tyler had dropped his programming classes. My parents were complaining about helping them financially. Sometimes I felt guilty, wondering if I'd been too harsh, but then I'd remember Tyler's face as he tossed aside my gift, Lisa's contemptuous words, my parents' betrayal. 6 months after the blow-up, on a rainy Tuesday evening, I was leaving my office building when I heard someone call my name. I turned to see Tyler standing by the entrance, soaked from the rain, looking older and somehow different than I remembered. Aunt Sarah, he said, his voice deeper than before. Can we talk? I hesitated, surprised to see him. Does your mother know you're here? He shook his head. No. And I'd like to keep it that way. I studied him for a moment, then nodded. There's a coffee shop around the corner. We walked silently through the rain, ordered drinks, and found a quiet corner table. Tyler seemed nervous, fidgeting with his cup. I'm listening, I said finally. He took a deep breath. I came to say I'm sorry about my birthday, about how I acted. It was wrong. I was surprised by his directness. What brought this on? Reality, I guess, he said with a weak smile. When you stopped sending money, everything changed. Mom had to work full-time. I had to drop some activities. At first, I was angry at you. Mom kept saying you were selfish and that you'd come around eventually. He paused, taking a sip of his hot chocolate. But you didn't. And after a while, I started thinking about everything you'd done for us over the years. All the gifts, the money, the classes. I realized how much I'd taken it all for granted. His eyes met mine. When I got a job at the grocery store 3 months ago, I understood even better. Working for my own money made me see things differently. I felt a mix of emotions, pride that he'd matured, sadness for the rift, anger still simmering beneath the surface. I appreciate you saying that, Tyler. It means a lot. Can you forgive me? He asked, looking younger suddenly, more like the boy I remembered. I'm working on it, I said honestly. It's not just about the birthday. It's about years of being treated like I was obligated to support you and your mom. That hurt. He nodded. I understand. I just miss you. And I want you to know I'm different now. I don't expect anything from you. I felt something soften inside me. We can work on rebuilding our relationship. It will take time though. Relief washed over his face. That's all I'm asking for. Does your mother know you've got a job? I asked. Yeah. But she thinks it's stupid. Says I should be focusing on school, not wasting time for minimum wage. But I like earning my own money. I smiled. I'm proud of you for that, Tyler. We talked for another hour, catching up on his school and friends. When we finally parted, he asked, "Can we meet again sometime? Maybe next week?" "I'd like that," I said. "But let's keep it between us for now. I'm not ready to deal with your mom or my parents yet." He nodded. "It'll be our secret." As I watched him walk away, I felt a complicated mix of emotions. There was still a long way to go, but that small reconnection felt like the beginning of something new. A relationship based on mutual respect rather than financial dependence. For the first time in months, I felt hopeful. It's been 8 months since Tyler and I had that coffee together. We've settled into a routine of meeting every couple of weeks. Sometimes we grab dinner, sometimes we just walk around the city and talk. He's grown so much in this short time, not just physically but in maturity and perspective. I got promoted at the store, he told me last week, his face lighting up with pride. I'm a shift supervisor now, more responsibility, better pay. That's fantastic, Tyler, I said, genuinely proud of him. How does it feel? Good, really good. I'm saving up for a used car, he added with a shy smile. Nothing fancy. Just something reliable to get around in. I nodded, appreciating the irony but saying nothing about it. The Tyler who had thrown a tantrum over not getting a luxury car for his birthday was gone. In his place was this thoughtful young man who understood the value of working for what he wanted. Our conversations never involve requests for money, and I don't offer any. It's a clean relationship now, based on genuine connection rather than financial dependence. Sometimes he tells me about his struggles or asks for advice, but never for cash. And that makes all the difference. As for Lisa and my parents, I haven't spoken to any of them since that day at my apartment door. Through Tyler and other relatives, I know that Lisa continues to struggle financially. She jumps from job to job, never quite finding stability. My parents still support her, covering her rent when she falls short, and helping with Tyler's school expenses. Sometimes I wonder if I should reach out, try to mend those relationships. But then I remember how they treated me, not as a daughter or sister, but as a resource to be exploited. The wound is still too fresh, the betrayal too deep. Maybe someday I'll be ready to forgive them, but not yet. For now, I'm focused on healing myself, and nurturing the one family relationship that's proven worth saving. Tyler keeps our relationship secret from his mother and my parents. Mom still gets angry whenever your name comes up, he told me once. And Grandma and Grandpa take her side. It's easier if they don't know we talk. I found peace in this new arrangement. My financial situation has improved significantly without the drain of supporting Lisa. I've been able to furnish my apartment properly, build an emergency fund, and even start planning a real vacation, my first in years. More importantly, I've learned valuable lessons about boundaries, about the difference between generosity and exploitation, about the complexity of family dynamics. I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do, both for yourself and others, is to say no. Last week, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. We made eye contact across the produce section. For a moment, I thought she might approach me, that there might be an opportunity for reconciliation. Instead, she turned her cart around and walked in the opposite direction. It hurt, but I understood. Some bridges take a long time to rebuild, if they can be rebuilt at all. I'm not closing any doors permanently, but I'm also not rushing to open them. Time will tell what happens with those relationships.